Well, hello everyone. Welcome to my channel. Sorry haven't been active recently. I feel like I needed a break. I've been working hard learning new software from my job. Today, the topic is called MGTOW. The future is female, really? Question mark. Today, I feel like I needed to cover an important topic. You've seen this slogan, "The future is female," on the news and on t-shirts and online as memes for a while now. Even Fox News has been talking about this issue. It started back in 2015 during the Hillary Clinton campaign, and it continues to this day. So what are they trying to say with this slogan? Well, they say it's a celebration of the female spirit, and some more radical elements are calling for an end to male power and leadership. They want more women in higher positions in the government and corporations making the decisions. They're trying to push men out and put more women in power, that is. Of course, they claim that they could do a better job, which, of course, we know that's not true. But my question is, why do they think they deserve this? They claim it is payback for the evils men have done over the centuries. The patriarchy. Yeah, whatever. This nonsense continues from brain-dead leftist indoctrinated idiots who can't even think for themselves. They have rewritten the history books for the younger generation. In many colleges and even secondary schools, they're pushing this feminist bullcrap ideology. The same old tired lie that men are the oppressors and women are the poor little victims. Then they spout, even in churches, the feminist lies of the 1 in 4 women will be raped in their lifetime nonsense. And the women make 75 cents to $1 lower than men. 75 cents compared to $1. Which, of course, all these statistics have been debunked and proven to be false for many years now. In case you didn't know, there have been laws on the books for over 50 years that make it illegal for a company to pay one group of people less than another based on gender. It's called the Equal Pay Act of 1963. All you got to do is do a Google search and find this out for yourself. It took me less than 50 seconds to find this info out on a Google search. So my question is, why is it so hard for young people to do their own research instead of just believing every bold-faced lie their feminist professors tell them in class? I guess they really must be lazy and stupid, or so indoctrinated they don't know the difference. We all know the reasons why females make lower wages. Number 1, they don't go into fields that pay high wages. Example, STEM field, which stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. Of course, there are always exceptions to the rules, but they are few and far between. Most females have no desire to enter these fields of work, nor have the ability or mental acuity to do so. Secondly, they don't work the same number of hours that a lot of men do. Usually females get off early to look after the kids, which there's nothing wrong with that. And also, when they get pregnant, they take time off. A lot of times, they really want to quit. Some even quit for years or permanently if they can when they have kids. All these reasons are fine, but people, namely feminists and their government flunkies, need to stop lying to the people and giving false information. These lying feminists and their government enablers propitiate these lies because women make up 52% of the voting bloc that keep these corrupt politicians in power. Feminist organizations therefore net millions in taxpayer dollars for their causes as long as they keep voting these corrupt people into power. The lies will continue as long as it serves not only the feminists' needs, but the government's needs, desires as well. Basically to keep their corrupt system afloat. These feminists can brag about the future being female all they want to, but I hate to say it, but America and the Western world in general, days are numbered. There will be no future the way things are going. We can't keep up this perpetual nanny state we have to make the ladies happy. This nation is broke, guys. China owns most of our western lands. California pretty much is owned by China. Obama gave our national parks away when he was president. So the $125,000 question is, how long will it be before the Chinese insist that the United States pay them back for all the money they borrowed from them? The Federal Reserve can't continue to print money out of thin air. They have devalued our dollar, and at some point our economy is going to be just as bad as Venezuela. These people in Venezuela are in a terrible situation. There are no jobs. Food production is basically nil. Half the people are starving to death. And because of the terrible weather conditions in our own nation, that has reduced our food supply quite a bit over the past few years. The drought in California has reduced our food supply by at least a quarter. The only reason why we haven't seen the prices go extremely high and we haven't had people screaming and marching in the streets over a food shortage is because we still get food from overseas. For now. Half the nation's food supply comes from California. Now, if you realize it or not, but California is the largest food producer in the United States because of the size of the state and the temperate weather that they have. And of course, we all know the Midwest produces corn and wheat for the nation and much of the world. But again, the weather conditions that we've had have reduced the ability for farmers to produce what we need. So we have been relying on other nations for food. But once the food-producing nations of South America and other places begin to be unable to produce food because of weather conditions, people here will begin to see starvation, just like you see on television in places like Venezuela and Africa. Remember, Americans, for the most part, don't grow their own food anymore, but depend on commercial food producers. Big farmers, corporate farmers. Revelation tells us that it will take a day's wage to buy a loaf of bread. We will soon be seeing these horrific results here. Most Americans live in their own little fantasy world. We are so lazy and complacent and entitled in this nation. God has blessed us beyond measure, but we have turned from God, and now we have people worshiping all kinds of false gods. We are lovers of pleasure instead of God. We have kicked God out of the public life and in general, and then wonder why we see all these bad things happening. America is a sinful, prideful nation. The future is female? Indeed. What a laughable statement that is. How can we have a future when you people, namely females, vote in corrupt politicians who drain the taxpayers' money, use as funds for projects most of the time we don't even know about, nor would approve of if we knew about them. Right now, these whiny feminists complain to get more freebies, but soon, all the food that they use to gorge their fat behinds on is going to disappear. I don't care what kind of fancy job and title you have, how much money you have in your bank account to show off to your fancy friends. All the money in the world is not going to buy basic needs like water and food. When the economy fails, and it will at some time, and when we are unable to feed the people, the grocery shelves will be bare, and nobody is growing their own food, Nobody's going to be kowtowing to any of these feminists. It's going to be dog eat dog. I dare say many females will have to sell their bodies just to eat. Riots will break out in the streets when the grocery store shelves are bare. I predict when this happens, I don't know when, but when it does, more than half the population will perish within a year. If you ever do any research on the Rothschild Corporation, you can find out that they have a website that puts out statistics on the amount of money they plan to invest in each nation. They list them on this website, and I also have one I want to show you from a military logistic website. The one for the Rothschild Corporation states, and this is a forecast for the population and growth projections. It says for the year 2020, they list the amount of money they plan to invest in the United States and the forecasted population. And on one website states a loss of 100 million people, which would bring the population down to 69 million. Do they know something we don't? I wonder. As a Christian, I believe we are entering into prophetic times. The end times are here. All we have to do is look at what is going on around us. The upheavals in our world, the storms, the wars, the earthquakes, have quadrupled over the past few years. We're having double the number of storms that we have had in the past. Devastating storms that destroy infrastructure and keep farmers from producing crops. People in America need to wake up. It's time to turn back to God and depend on Him. You can't depend on the government. As far as we know, the government's behind a lot of the stuff that's going on. The geoengineering, we know that they're geoengineering the planet because they actually say that. That's really what causes a lot of these storms. And also we have the problem, our nation, America, keeps provoking other nations like China and Russia. There are way too many people hearing from God about what is coming. World War III is around the corner. It is all prophesied in the Bible. Whether you want to believe it or not, it doesn't matter. America is a very evil, corrupt, selfish nation. I'm not saying every person is. I'm just saying our leaders are, and we have a lot of people that are. Females under feminist propaganda have killed over 60 million babies since Roe versus Wade. All in the name of convenience. They say, it's my body, my choice. Immorality is now a virtue. These filthy, vile people promote promiscuity, sexual perversion, cuckoldry, homosexuality, transsexuality, pedophilia, and bestiality, and push this filth on the children by the laws from different states. For instance, California just passed a law where the children can't opt out of these different sex ed programs where they talk about all this perversion. Americans' pride will be our downfall. Just like Lucifer, who fell, so will America. The sin of pride destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. Pride leads to every other sin. When you think you are superior to others, you devalue them as people. You think they are less than deserving and sometimes not even human, so you therefore abuse them. That's basically what people do who are prideful. This is what this nation has done. Feminists devalue the lives of children and men. Men are expendable fodder to the government beast and its wicked masters. The crowds of arrogant, full of themselves people, many females but others also, homosexuals and transsexuals, are also in this group who claim victim status, which they are not. God has removed His hand of protection on this land since we have kicked God out and allowed Satan in. It's okay to kill babies, they say. It's okay to have sex with anyone you want, they say. And it's even preferred today for you to be gay and have gay sex, they say. They push this filth on young people. It is good to cut off your genitals and change your sex, they say. And if you disagree with these insane people, you are a bigot. 50 years ago, this kind of thinking would be considered a mental disorder, and they would have put you in a mental hospital. But not today. The Bible says, "Woe to them that call good evil and evil good." The nation is falling apart, but yet you don't hear this about coming from the churches talking about it at all. Now we have pastors that won't even speak out against sin. Churches ordain gays and transgendered people. I guess the next thing the church won't be speaking against is pedophilia. There are stories of women marrying themselves and their pets and even other inanimate objects. I saw a story of an adult man who was living and dressing like a dog as a lifestyle. How insane is that? Will the insanity ever end? America is falling apart. We are as morally bankrupt as we are financially bankrupt. The American government has been using our military to steal resources from other nations for decades to keep this corrupt system afloat. But for how much longer? We're running out of nations to plunder. Soon all the hordes of feminists and like-minded people will be as destitute and hungry as the people of Venezuela. Will it happen tomorrow? No. Next week or next year? Possibly not. But we can't keep going on year after year like we are now. The Federal Reserve Ponzi scheme is at an end. We can't keep borrowing money and spending money like we have it, because we just don't have it. They just print money from out of thin air, from nothing, and we have nothing to back it up. No gold, no silver, nothing in reserve. The nations of the world are tired of the United States pushing them around and stealing from them, and killing their children in wars to steal their resources. For example, the war in Iraq was nothing but all about stealing the wealth of Iraq and their oil. All in the name of democracy. What a sham. Soon all the pussy hat indoctrinated leftist witches who marched in the streets, many of whom had no idea what they were marching for. They just didn't like President Trump and thought he was a bigot and afraid that he was going to take their right to murder their babies away. These same degenerates will be rioting in the streets in the near future because they will have no job and no food and no future. Despite what Trump keeps saying, we are still losing jobs and they aren't coming back. Automation is also taking these jobs away. I don't want to sound like a prophet of gloom and doom, but America is not getting better. It's going to get worse, as will the rest of the world, because America is basically the largest economy. And if we go, the rest of the world goes too. So when America's economy falls, so does the rest of the world. Feminists, your future is the graveyard. I hate to say it, but you will be murdered in your beds by hungry mobs of people taking what they need by force just to survive. Your pride and your selfishness has been your downfall and our nation's destruction. The only hope for America and the world is Jesus. I think the only thing that will wake Americans up to realizing that only Jesus will give you a future is when they are destitute. When they are destitute, homeless, and starving, maybe then they will turn to Jesus. I don't know. Maybe it will take World War III to wake up Americans. I think it will take something as dramatic as a war or an economic depression as bad or if not worse than the Great Depression or a horrific natural disaster to wake people up and make them realize they need to change their ways. But I hate to say it, but most people will not survive the events to come. I believe that America is in for really terrible days ahead. I know many are putting their faith into Trump. They say Trump is going to turn things around. Don't put your faith in men, but only in God. Only Jesus can save. I pray for our leaders and our nation every day. And I pray for revival, that it will break out in this land. But truly, I think some really bad things are going to happen to wake up most people. They're too concerned with the trivial things that go on with their life. They'd rather be watching their TV programs, playing with their phone, than to really be concerned with what's going on in the world. Well, I want to end on a good note. My home is in heaven. This life is not easy. We are not promised life will be easy either. I look forward to Jesus' return, and I hope that it's very soon. This world is an unfair, wicked place. I look forward to seeing my home in heaven. I look forward to meeting Jesus and the saints. I look forward to singing with the angels and praising God. All the wonders we will see in that glorious place. Don't get so tied to this physical earth. The book of Revelation tells us about all the destruction that's going to occur, and occur soon probably. Nothing is permanent here. Nothing lasts here. Remember to store spiritual wealth in heaven. The good you do here is recorded there. Only those things will last. Thanks for listening. Please feel free to comment, and remember to be respectful and adult. God bless you, and have a wonderful new year.